Hello everyone, and first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day. At Logrus IT, while working on our quality improvement and quality assurance tools, we always asked ourselves one and the same question: how stable, how consistent the output of those AI-based tools is? In other words, it means that if we run one and the same QA-oriented, customized, and rather sophisticated AI-based prompt on one and the same dataset, and by this I mean not only the localized files we're working on, but also all the ancillary materials, that is, translation memories, style guides, terminology glossaries, and everything. So how consistent, how uniform the output is going to be? And there are good reasons to ask this question. First of all, in our own experience when playing with various AI prompts and those AI-based improvement and QA tools, we've noticed that some LLM models demonstrate rather fickle behavior. In real life, it was something like that. You change the prompt a little bit, so adjust the metric or just add an additional special requirement or condition, and suddenly the output of the model is completely different from what it was. Also, I need to remind you and all of us that even human reviewers do not produce completely uniform results. Generally, we know from experience that when they review one and the same file, all the summary evaluations are very similar, all the reports are somewhat similar, but there are still deviations between any two reports you take and analyze against each other. Before deploying our own AI improvement and quality assurance tools across the company, we needed proof of stability. I almost said proof of life. In other, more poetic language, we needed to figure out whether this rather sophisticated and customized AI-based prompt behaves like a normal person or like a set of normal reviewers or normal people with more or less stable and consistent results over time, or it demonstrates a split personality along the lines of the famous Dr. Jekyll versus Mr. Hyde. So, we have created a sample bilingual file that contained a healthy mix of all types of issues and ran it through our QA tool, that is an AI-based QA tool, multiple times and using several LLM models. Namely, the file, approximately 800 words, 16 segments that contained a wide variety of different errors in terms of adequacy, intelligibility, language, and even design, meaning an omitted line break. And it contained all types of severities, starting from showstoppers to major and medium and minor errors. And we staged the experiment. Overall, we used 5 different LLM models, all from the Gemini family, and we ran one and the same AI prompt every 30 minutes, approximately 12 times, and that is 12 times for each of those 5 models. Overall, we have completed 56 tests, and the whole experiment spanned something like 6 hours. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to Fedir Bezrukov, head of the Logrus IT Multi-Site Division and head of Logrus IT Ukraine, who both prepared the original test file, made sure that we have a reference, that is, the QA run by humans, and who conducted the whole experiment. Fyodor, thank you so much indeed. And now I know, you're waiting for the results and for major conclusions. First of all, we've seen some variations between the outputs depending on the LLM model and the time of day it was run. This creates a huge difference compared to traditional rule-based tools that produce one and the same, exactly the same output every time, irrespective of how many tests you make as far as the input is the same. At the same time, on the positive note, it was by no means Dr. Jekyll versus Mr. Hyde. It was more like a slight variance, the same that you would experience when running one and the same QA through multiple reviewers. So it's not a split personality, it's at the moment more manageable. Let's look at the details. So this chart presents three major factors. True positives, orange color, that is how successfully the AI-based tool finds real issues compared to the reference baseline QA results. As you can see, this percentage is close to 100 across all Gemini models, and it never goes below 98%. Perfect. Precision reflects the ratio between false positives and all flagged issues. 100 in all cases means that we have not encountered any hallucinations with any of the models. Finally, severity accuracy shows how close AI-assigned severities were to the baseline ones. This is the only area that is still impressive. It's around 80% for all models, but not perfect. Let's get a closer look. The second chart shows severity distribution across all 56 runs for each of the 16 segments of the files we analyzed. So bars with patterned fill represent the baseline, while solid bars represent actual data. As far as the color is the same for both bars, we have perfect severity accuracy. As you can see, the drop in average accuracy is mostly caused by two segments out of 16, namely number 9 and number 16. In the first case, the AI-based tool assigned minor severity instead of major in 2/3 of all test runs, which is seriously off. In the second case, a major error was overwhelmingly marked as a medium one. Severities have been assigned correctly for 14 segments out of 16, which is not bad. Let's not forget that automated QA results are always checked by humans, so we would not let it pass. Finally, it's important to emphasize a few things. First of all, you may want to ask this question. No, it's not a specially engineered perfect example that we're prepared to impress you or the clients. We tried to achieve quite the opposite. That is, produce a manageable, limited size, well, still 800 words is not a very small size, but rather diverse file that represents a whole spectrum of very diverse and very real, very typical errors of all kinds and all severities. Second, high quality of the results is first of all explained by the fact that we spent quite a lot of time developing and fine-tuning the prompt that is based on the Logrus IT multidimensional quality model and is highly customizable, and it was fine-tuned for quite a while. We spent a lot of effort on this. So, do not expect perfect results out of the box. In order to get it at that level, you will need to spend a lot of time and effort. Number 3, our primary goal is first of all to catch all the egregious errors, that is, Showstopper's major errors and to a certain degree medium ones. With minor errors, when they're dominating, the results are not as spectacular, which is understandable because sometimes it's really hard to draw a line between a minor error and a preferential edit. At the moment, we can live with it because all those logs are still reviewed by humans, first of all, and second, we're working on fine-tuning and improving all the QA prompts even further, but still. Finally, you may have another question. How much did it cost us? So overall, it's 16 segments, 800 words, and one and the same prompt run 56 times in a row over multiple LLM models. So I have the answer for you. Converted to all those tokens, overall it cost us $2.60. We can afford it. Much more effort was spent by humans. Finally, you've noticed that we used various Gemini-based LLM models. It's for a reason, because overall, while we were playing with all those prompts, it demonstrated more stable behavior when we were changing those prompts a little or adding some conditions. It doesn't mean that others are not suitable, but they were fickle enough to make us select Gemini when we were working on this. But we will be more than happy to conduct those experiments again across a whole variety of LLM models in the future with the same AI prompt and compare their results against one another. Another thing you may be interested in: how does this variance and this level of quality that we've got through AI-based QA compare to human reviewers? Well, we are currently staging this test. Obviously, you cannot ask one and the same person to conduct one and the same test every 30 minutes. It's just insane, because people cannot forget what they just looked at, even if it was not an hour ago, but a day or two ago. But we're currently staging an experiment with approximately a dozen of in-house reviewers who are independently reviewing without communicating to each other this same file, and I'll be more than happy to report results to you in one of the subsequent posts and podcasts. Thank you so much indeed, and once again, happy St. Patrick's Day.